This video is over solving multi-step equations. So our steps to solving equations is to distribute if necessary, meaning you're going to multiply your parentheses. Now, if there's no parentheses in the equation, you can skip this step. Step number 2 is to combine like terms. Again, only if necessary. If there's no like terms, then don't combine them together. You can skip that step. Step number 3, collect the variables on the same side. So we're going to collect all of the variables on the left just to keep us all on the same page. We're going to collect all of the numbers, or you can call them constants, on the same side. We're going to put those on the right side. Technically it doesn't matter, but we're going to follow this pattern just to keep us all on the same page. And then our last step is to just solve the equation. For number 1, we have the equation 8x minus 7 equals 4x plus 21. Now we're going to skip step 1 because we don't have any parentheses to distribute. We're going to skip step 2 because there's no like terms. 8x and 7 are different. 4x and 21 are different. So we're going straight into number 3. Step number 3 tells us to combine the variables on the left side. Looking at this equation, 8x is already on the left-hand side. The 4x is on the right-hand side. We take the 4x, we do the opposite, we do a minus 4x, and we solve. 8 minus 4 is 4. We bring down the minus 7 because we did not use that part, and we bring down the positive 21 because we did not use that part either. Then we can move on to step 4. We're going to combine the numbers, the whole numbers, on the right-hand side. Meaning we're going to take the minus 7 and we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do a plus 7. The 4x stays the same. We didn't use that. 21 plus 7 gives us 28. And then our last step is to divide. When solving equations, your last step is to always divide. 28 divided by 4 is 7. Our final answer is x equals 7. For number 2, we're going to skip step number 1 because we don't have any parentheses to distribute. We're also going to skip step 2 because there's no like terms to combine. 11x and 9 are different. 2x and 45 are different. So we're going straight into step number 3. We take the variable negative 2x. We do the opposite. We do a positive 2x. Negative 11 plus 2x is going to give us a negative 9x. We bring down the plus 9 and the positive 45 because we did not use those numbers in our problem. Step number 4 tells us to move the whole numbers over to the right-hand side. So we're going to take our plus 9, we do the opposite, we do a minus 9. The negative 9x stays the same because we did not use that piece of the equation. 45 minus 9 is 36. And our last step is to divide. We divide by our negative 9. 36 divided by 9 is 4. It's a negative 9, so it's a negative 4. X equals negative 4 is our final answer. For number 3, we have the equation 13x plus 9 equals 6x minus 12. We're going to skip step number 1 because we don't have any parentheses to distribute. We're going to skip step number 2 because we do not have any like terms. 13x and 9 are different. 6x and 12 are different. We jump straight into step number 3, meaning we take our variable 6 and the x, and we do the opposite. We do a minus 6. 13 minus 6 is going to give us a positive 7, so that's going to be a 7x. We bring down the plus 9 and the minus 12 because we did not use those pieces. Step 4 tells us to move all the whole numbers to the right-hand side. So we take our plus 9, we do the opposite, we do a minus 9. The 7x stays the same. Negative 12 minus 9 gives us a negative 21. Our last step when solving equations is to divide. Negative 21 divided by 7 is going to give us 3, and because it's negative, it's going to give us a negative 3. X equals negative 3 is our final answer. For number 4, we have the equation 14x plus 1 equals negative 2 plus 8x plus 15. We're going to skip step number 1 because we do not have any parentheses to multiply. We're going to jump straight into step number 2. Now, we are not going to combine the 14x and the 1 because those are not like terms, but we can combine the negative 2 and the plus 15. They don't have any variables with them, and so we can combine those together. The 14x plus 1 is going to stay the same. The 8x is also going to stay the same. And we combine negative 2 and 15 combined together to give us 13. Moving into step number 3, we take our variable 8x and we move it to the left-hand side. Instead of 8, we do the opposite. We do a minus 8. 14 minus 8 is going to give us 6. So 6 and the x variable go together. The plus 1 stays the same, and the positive 13 stays the same, because we did not use those numbers yet. Step 4 tells us to move the whole numbers to the right-hand side. So instead of plus 1, we do a minus 1. The 6x stays the same, and the 13 minus 1 gives us 12. Our last step solving equations is to divide. We divide by the 6 value. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Our final answer is x equals 2. For number 5, we have the equation 1/4 x plus 17 equals x minus 4. We're going to skip step number 1 because we don't have any parentheses to distribute. We're going to skip step number 2 because we don't have any like terms. The 1/4 x and the 17 are different. The x and the 4 are different. We jump straight into step number 3, which is where we take the 1x variable. We do the opposite as we move it to the left-hand side. We do a minus 1x. 1/4 minus 1 is going to give us a negative 3/4 x. The plus 17 stays the same. The minus 4 also stays the same. Step 4 tells us to move the whole number to the right-hand side. So instead of plus 17, we do the opposite. We do a minus 17. The negative 3/4 x stays the same. Combining the negative 4 and the negative 17 gives us a negative 21. And our last step when solving equations is to divide. We divide by the fraction negative 3/4. Negative 21 divided by negative 3/4 gives us a positive 28. Two negatives give us a positive answer. X equals 28. For number 6, we have the equation 3 parentheses 2x plus 1 equals 5 parentheses x minus 4. We start with step number 1, which means we distribute and we multiply our parentheses. 3 times 2 is going to give us 6, so that's 6x. 3 times 1 gives us 3. On the other side, we're also going to distribute those parentheses. 5 and x we put together to make 5x. 5 times 4 gives us 20. We're going to skip step 2 because there's no like terms for us to combine. 6x and 3 are different. 5x and 20 are different. We're going to jump to step number 3, which is where we take the x variable and move it to the left-hand side. Instead of 5x, we do the opposite. We do a minus 5x. 6 minus 5 would give us 1x. The plus 3 stays the same. The minus 20 stays the same. Step 4 tells us to take the whole number and move it to the right-hand side. So instead of plus 3, we do the opposite. We do a minus 3. Negative 20 minus 3 gives us a negative 23. Our last step in solving equations is to divide. We divide by the 1. Negative 23 divided by 1 means our answer stays negative 23. For number 7, we have the equation 6 plus 12 parentheses x plus 3 equals 7x plus 30 plus 6x. We start with step number 1, meaning we distribute and multiply our parentheses. The 6 stays out in front. The 12 and the x we can put together to make 12x. The 12 and the 3 multiply to give us 36. The 7x plus 30 plus 6x stays the same. Step 2 is to combine our like terms. On the left-hand side, we can combine the 6 and the plus 36 because they don't have any variables with them. The 12x stays the same. 6 plus 36 gives us 42. On the other side, we can combine the 7x and the 6x because they both have the same variable. 7 plus 6 gives us 13x, and the plus 30 stays the same. Step 3 tells us to move our variable over to the left-hand side. So instead of 13, we do the opposite. We do a minus 13. 12 minus 13 is negative 1. The plus 42 and the plus 30 stay the same. Step 4 tells us to take our whole number and do the opposite. So instead of plus 42, we do a minus 42. The negative 1x stays the same. 30 minus 42 gives us a negative 12. And our last step in solving equations is to divide. We divide by the negative 1. 12 divided by 1 is 12, and 2 negatives makes a positive. Positive 12 is our final answer. For our last problem, we have 5 plus 1/3, parentheses 6x plus 9 equals negative x minus 4 in parentheses. We start by multiplying and distributing our parentheses. The 5 in the front stays the same. 1/3 times 6 is going to give us 2. So that's going to be a 2x. 1/3 times 9 is going to give us 3. On the other side, this is a negative 1 that we are distributing and multiplying by. So that would give us a negative 1x, and then 2 negatives make a positive 4. Step 2 tells us to combine like terms. So we can combine the 5 and the 3 together because they don't have any variables. 5 and 3 combine to give us 8. Everything else stays the same because there are no more like terms. Step 3 tells us to move our variable over to the left-hand side. So instead of a negative 1x, we do a plus 1x. 2 plus 1 gives us 3. The plus 8 stays the same, as does the positive 4 on the other side. Step 4 tells us to take our whole number and move it to the right-hand side. Instead of 8, we do the opposite. We do a minus 8. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. And when we're solving equations, our last step is to divide. We divide by 3. We cannot solve 4 divided by 3 evenly, so we leave it as a fraction, and it stays negative. Negative 4 divided by 3.